Welcome to Keeping Tabs. I'm Tabitha Crock, and every Monday, I talk to someone here in North Idaho with the goal to connect more people in the Coeur d'Alene area. And then every Friday, I talk to someone outside the community to bring in a new perspective and to learn a little bit about yourself.
Wonderful.
I'm so excited to have, I have Cassidy back. You were on the podcast like in the OG early days, right?
So long ago. Years ago. Congrats on having years worth of a podcast.
Yeah,
though.
I know. I took a break, and I next 2 weeks I'm just full of amazing humans, so I'm excited. So I guess let's just jump in. Catch us up on what's going on, what you're doing, and then we'll dig into like your guys' newest project.
The best project. The
right.
greatest.
I know. I got a sweet little note in the mail when I got back from my ski trip, and I was like, look what these ladies are doing.
Love notes are the best, man. I feel like mail is always, every time I check my mail, I'm like, God, it's a political ad, or it's a bill, or it's like a fake check, you know?
Yeah.
Like for something or another.
The fake money.
Yeah. But I love handwritten notes. And so does Ash. So we just send out a little love.
Yeah. And it's so nice because I'm a big thank you person, like handwritten thank you cards. Like my family, my parents taught me how to do that early on. Like you just thank you for the handwritten note, but you did something different. So tell us, I guess Cassidy or Ashley, tell us a little bit about like, what is this project? Well, first of all, let me back it up. Tell us what else you're doing. Like, I guess give me a little, like, what's going on in your guys' lives?
You can go first.
I'll go first. Okay. We'll go alphabetically.
All over the place.
Oh, I guess
alphabetically. So my name is Ashley Yates. And when I'm not with Cassidy doing our project, we're going to tell you about in a second here. I do financial education for both individuals and businesses, helping them gain, grow, and hold on to wealth. And then I also own and operate an app with another business partner. And then I do my project, which is it was gonna just be like a passion project.
Yeah.
And because it's Cassidy and I, so much for that, full business now with its own name, which is why we're on the podcast today.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a lot of co-branding because Ashley has that like wealth, financial literacy piece, right? And I'm really passionate about teaching specifically women, but like all people, specifically women though, about how to have everything they want without burning down their lives, without having to sacrifice these huge pieces of their lives. And that is crazy. That is my favorite thing to do in the entire world. So we were really like, okay, we're going to collaborate. Like we're going to come together and do like one event a year or maybe like 2 events a year. Yeah. It'll be cake, not a big deal. And then we had our first event and afterwards we were like, well, seems like this is actually a lot more. So now it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
That's so awesome. And I guess, and then Cassidy, you've been doing, I mean, since we've talked to you, you've also had your planner come out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have.
And you're working on a cookbook.
Yeah. So I have a couple of businesses. I have Cassidy Bones, which is me, myself, and I doing like mentorship again to help people just get everything that they want in life without burning their life down. I'm just teaching them that it's possible and boundaries and communication and all the things. And then I also own a company that prints planners, cookbooks, journals, basically like all the things. It's with one of my business partners, and it's like all the things print-wise that would have been extremely helpful to us in the beginning of our entrepreneurial journeys, because we both had coaches and we've had coaches for years, and they always focused on like how to get more clients, how to close, how to open, how to introduce yourself, how to do all these things. But nobody ever looked at either one of us and said like, what are you eating? Are you eating? Like, are you moving your body? Do you sleep? Like when I look at the way that I used to work and the way that I work now, I make so much more money now. I have so much more free time. My relationships are all around better. And it's because it's like a product of outgrowing the hustle, give it all to business and then see what's left over for you and your family mentality, which has been huge. So that's what all those products are. And yeah, cookbooks in there. Maybe.
Awesome. So I guess kind of lead us into what you're doing, and then how your first event went. So tell us all what's happening.
Well, you have it up. You have
I do have it up. Okay.
The really
I'll read it to you. It's like
really
beautiful. It's beautiful. SNCERE is a movement that empowers women to have a deep knowing of themselves and intentionally choose their life based on their desires and true identity, not just the roles they play in life. Which is
spicy.
So good.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, I think the easiest example of like why this company came about and why we're so passionate about it is the moms in the world, right? Like, you know, and now the internet knows if they didn't know. I don't have kids. I'm the oldest of like 7,000 grandchildren. There's like 1,000 moms in my life. All of my friends, almost all of my friends have children of various ages. And I have watched so many of them go through these like identity crises. And they just like all of a sudden they're no longer Ash. They're like Jocelyn's mom and Brexton's mom and Jake's wife. And like, I don't have kids, right? But like, I'm no longer Cassidy. I'm Ryan's wife and Rachel's daughter and all these things. And people just like, we kind of equate it to jackets, right? Like you just like put on all these jackets and pretty soon you're suffocating and you don't even remember that there's a person underneath the jackets. And you just go around living as other people's labels and other people's hats all day, every day.
So true. And I think like I'm in the same boat as you, Cassidy. I don't have any kids yet. And but I still feel that. Like I know what you're talking about. And it sucks sometimes. Like it really sucks.
Yeah.
To not like, you know, you sometimes lose yourself and then you're like, wait, who am I and what am I doing? Wait, I need to stop because I remember my goals or my passions or whatever it was. So it is a great reminder along with just being, you know, and I know my friends deal with it too, that have kids.
Yeah.
What was this first, you know, event that you had? I saw a little bit, I was out of town, but like I saw a little bit, tell us a little bit about what these events look like and what, you know, what this whole thing is going to give to these women.
So we wanted to give everyone just a good not a sneak, but like a kind of a preview of even what's more to come. So we played on it being right around the new year because everyone typically has this kind of gusto and all this energy to throw out all these new versions of themselves and make all these radical New Year's resolutions. And so we played on that and really we brought everybody together to say, hey, that is fantastic. Love New Year's resolutions, love New Year, new me, all those fun quotes and hashtags that come out. But also, when are we going to slow down and really kind of define what do we want to slowly start peeling off of our lives? And it's not about radically changing yourself. It's not about radically changing your habits and just becoming like a brand new person every single year. But how do we really start to have that conversation with ourselves on who we truly are? And start to have the conversation on what parts of us maybe we are ready to let go of and break out of. But then also once we know that, once you are able to identify, no, this is truly who I want to be, how do you fight and advocate for that?
Right.
How do you actually stick to that new identity or that confirmed identity and not just fall back into the pressures of picking those labels right back up? Because we use the mom label a lot because it's so easily to have people understand whether you have kids or not. You can see it, like you can see how like the label happens, but it's deeper than that. You know, are you carrying around the label that in your family you're the pushover? Are you carrying around the label that because of your childhood you're bad with money? And so, you know, it's really slowing the conversation down to have some deep and honest reflection on our lives of who do we really want to be, and then us kind of helping one navigate that conversation because it's not fun, it's hard, but then also support and tools and the advocacy to support women going through those changes.
And I think that's super important too, is people just want to know they're not alone either. They're like, am I the only one that feels this or is going through this or messed up with whatever it is? But going, oh wait, there's hundreds of other people, thousands of other people, women in the same position, and I'm not alone. That I can help. I can have support.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, even in our mission, it's about movement. It's about creating that movement. So for our first event, we literally took all of that and made it into like 1 6-hour event.
Was a lot.
It was a lot.
If you attended the event, you're welcome, and
we're sorry.
That was a lot. Drinking from a fire hose.
That makes sense. So that's awesome. And so do you guys have any other events coming up?
Nothing on the books. We really wanted to, with this being the first one, we wanted to kind of see how did it go? What do we want to do? We really desperately want to be able to bring women from all over the country together for this. So it's going to take a lot of work on the back end of being able to offer things both locally, away, virtual things, in-person things. How do we create that community of women who can support each other? It all started this last 2 months. So we're just rolling with the punches and figuring out where we're going from here.
It got a lot bigger after the event. I seriously, we both finished speaking, like all the women left, and we were just kind of like standing there staring at each other. We're like, oh, I guess this isn't a passion project anymore. So we have lots of things like in the works to do. So please follow along with us, but it's going to be.
And I love that you did the vision board event too. I know that wasn't the same thing, but that was super cool too. It's just, I think, because I love vision boards and I do one, but I think it's cool because I have so many friends that are like, I want to do a vision board and I want to have this, but they just don't do it because there is no time, or the kids are sick, or there's this or that. So no one makes like, time for that. So like, that's like, I just think having an excuse or a way to like go and actually make yourself do it, I think it keeps that accountability.
Yeah.
So I have a couple fun little questions. What is, Cassie, I'll go with you first. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh my God.
Biggest one.
I have several pet peeves.
I guess it could be any of them. And I know I have a pet peeve about, and it gets all deep on me. I was like, no, what is your annoyance in life? Like the shopping carts that are left all through the grocery store parking lot.
That shit makes me crazy.
Like things like that.
I am the crazy person who walks around the parking lot and I'll like pick up the piece of trash and throw it away, or like put the shopping cart away, because it just is the laziest thing. It does actually make me crazy. But people who tell you that things are okay and then get spicy about them afterwards, that'll end our friendship. I can't just say what you mean, man. Just like use your words. That shit makes me nuts.
and
it does make me nuts. It makes her nuts. I mean, my longest standing one is I have a very high sensitivity to chewing. It's basically whatever the like disabilities, I qualify for that. Like my kids are terrified to eat in front of me because I'm like,
I did just see a TikTok or a reel about that. It was a famous girl, and she's sitting next to her husband, saying how much she's just obsessed with her husband and loves him until he starts chewing.
It's not a proud moment, but there have been times both with family and non-family people where I'll be sitting next to somebody and I'm like, and I'll just literally reach over and like close their mouth. I will physically touch them and close their mouth.
Not me. She doesn't have to do that to me.
It's like I do this or I hit you. I don't know. Like this seems actually like the nicer option. I don't know.
Or I start going on a rampage. Yeah. So who knows?
Right.
So Cassie, I know you're a foodie and love eat places and stuff. What is something locally? So if someone's listening, that like it's maybe your favorite either go to or unique place to go that has just some of your favorite food?
Well, I live at Vine and Olive. Their specials are ridiculous. Whenever they have a halibut special, you have to get it. You have to. But I just went to Izzy's for brunch recently, and they had a crab Benedict that with like polenta cakes that I was sad to finish eating. It was ridiculous. Wow. It was the crab was huge.
And forever, like I went earlier on, like when they first opened, and now everyone keeps raving about some unique dishes.
You got to go for brunch. That crab Benedict, and you have to get the crab Benedict.
Right, go for brunch and get that.
And you have to get that. That's the only reason you need to go.
No, everything is good. Everything is ridiculously good there, but the crab Benedict, man, this is the perfect time to ask me. I'm obsessed. I wanted to cry. The lady sitting at the bar next to me was eating it, and she was like, she's like, I don't like to be touched. And she literally just kept touching me. I was like, you have to get it. You have to. Are you gonna order it? It's amazing. And she's like hoarding hers. It was ridiculous.
Don't even look at mine.
Yeah, pretty much. You'll take the flavor.
What's yours there, Ashley?
I know. I just love food. So I love the porch because I do live up in Hayden. So I love the porch. I love Izzy's. I used to go there almost weekly for a while because my studio was right down there, and I haven't been in a while. Right, It makes me sad.
Brunch.
I know. What else do I love everything. I just don't. I'm trying to think of a unique place that like not everybody knows of. Izzy's though is a good one. Stylist just opened fairly recently, and that's a really, really fun place.
A good new spot. I think
they have really unique wine, which is cool. Like this wine I've never even heard of.
Yeah, they had like a date salad the other day. I was with a friend, and I was like, "What?" And it was delicious.
Yeah, I love how much their menu changes. I feel like it changes almost daily.
It changes a lot. Because I'll like something, and then I'll go back, and I'm like, "Yep, of course it's gone."
Cool. Thanks.
So what is, so you both are heavily involved in the community, obviously build relationships, especially with women. Is there a trait you would look for in people that you connect more with than just like, the surface connect that we all do? But is there a certain trait or traits that you look for in people to really connect and bring into like, into your circle?
I do for sure. So for me, it's like, number one, you have to be collaborative. I am like extremely competitive of playing like a game, but in the world of like business or life, nothing that Ashley's winning at makes me feel like I'm losing. Like even if we were doing the exact same thing, teaching the exact same stuff, I know that we're going to relate to very different people. And so I'm just like, competition in that world doesn't exist to me. So you have to be collaborative. And you have to be extremely benevolent. You have to be extremely giving to be in my circle because I am extremely giving. It's kind of like a selfish protection, but I'm extremely giving. And that has come back to bite me a handful of times because I was like with people who are just takers. So you have to be givers. Everyone's got to be a giver.
I 1,000% agree, especially with friendships and those kind of relationships. Like, I am younger. I used to give, and then you realize you're starting to get exhausted, and you're just like a vampire sucks your soul out, and you're just like, what is going on? So it's like very important to have that collaborate. Words are really hard this morning, but I think it's super important. So I absolutely agree with you 100% on that one.
Echoing everything that Cassidy said, of
course.
But something if like I haven't heard of you, met you just randomly, I'm at like an event or something and I see somebody, what I'm noticing more and more is I am becoming deeply attracted towards any other women who are finding their voice and aren't afraid to have the tough conversations and aren't afraid to speak up and aren't afraid to say, hold on. That's always going to be like, I'm holding on. Tell me more,
Yeah, I absolutely love that too, because those are the people that aren't afraid to stand up for others too.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you see, and as women, we see like, people getting walked over or not being heard or seen. So people are like, wait, I think this person has important things. We need to give them attention. I think standing up for those women or business individuals or, anybody. So I love that. Like I think that's really cool. I like that. You're really cool, Ashley. What's something, Cassidy, that people would be surprised to know about you?
I don't know. I feel like I'm very normal.
Well, you're very transparent and you're very open and you're very like, and I love that about people, but is there something you're like, actually, I used to play saxophone, or actually,
I was a drummer. I was first chair in the percussion line for a long time.
See?
Which is very surprising. You're just like, what? You drum?
I don't do any sports, which shouldn't be surprising to anybody.
No, I knew that.
I really don't like the outdoors at all. Not a fan. I will walk on Tubbs Hill with you though. That is
Thanks.
No,
I'll do that. I'll walk downtown with you.
I have you bought in. She will go on one backpacking trip with me, a backpacking trip.
Someone drank a little too much wine and needed to bargain or barter during a game. It was me. And now I have to go on a backpacking trip for just one night.
I don't remember that.
One night you could ease her in. You could do something like
on Tubbs Hill.
But I was thinking like where's the lake I went to? My husband and I went this summer, and it was up the Coeur d'Alene River. It's a little lake in the mountains. It's an easy hike. Really fun little like overnight backpacking.
I'm getting really sweaty right now.
There's a couple of them though, and I was like, hey, I'll call everybody I know who also backpacks. We'll do it in a group.
And there's a big spot. Like last time I was there was a huge group, like a bunch of people backpacked in, and they just like had a great night. They were across the lake from us. We heard them. But I backpacked my paddleboard in so that I could have my paddleboard on the lake. And then Brett brought like the tent and stuff in his, and it was awesome. Yes. It's like round trip 5 miles at max. I wouldn't even say 5 miles.
I'll let you know how it goes. You'll get a text message as soon as we're back.
I'll probably just send you the invite. That way there's lots of support.
I will come. I'm down, always down for that.
Oh, I was like, even the question. What about people? I'm surprised. So boring. I'm not. I'm really not boring, but like I'm just such an open book. Aggressively open.
I know. I do love your little random rants that you'll put up on social media.
They're my favorite.
Like, ooh, what's Ashley got to say today?
Yeah. Spicy is like my word of the year. And it's like, ooh, how spicy am I going to be today?
I think, God, I don't mean this to be mean, but there's no nice way to say this. I think people are really surprised by how nice Ashley is.
That's so true.
When I tell people, when I'm like, people are like, oh, like one of my friends is the sweetest, kindest person in the world. And she like ran into Ashley at an event or something that Ashley was planning and putting on. So Ashley's like in organizer mode, like very like, you got to do my things, right? And I like mentioned something about how Ash and I were doing something this weekend, and she's like, is she nice? And I was like, yeah, she's the nicest person. What do you mean? And she's like, I don't know. She just seemed like she didn't want to talk to me. And I was like, well, I mean, she was planning an event. She's putting on an event.
You can't get in front of a woman on an event planning day, on a day that it's good.
I don't speak to anybody when I'm planning an event.
Pretty rare. I am nice. That's my thing.
I'm extremely nice. Internet people, Ashley is the nicest person.
But she's actually really nice.
Yeah.
I know this podcast. You thought she was a bitch, but she's actually really nice.
She's actually nice. I mean, I'm spicy. Don't get me wrong. I do go on rants.
Yeah.
But I'm really nice. I don't know.
You just got to say hi. If I could give people advice, any piece of advice, maybe you just like say hi to people. You just get to know them.
But like I do,
even if their eyebrows are spicy.
I get so head down during event planning, so that's not the time to introduce yourself to me. Because I'm like, this
little
is
situational awareness, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. I'm the same way though. Like I know I'm not nice during that, but it's also like I'm just like, people can talk to me. I'm like, I am blocking you out unless I need this moment because I need to focus on you.
Yeah. No one's being mean during event planning. They're just working.
Yeah.
Hyper focused.
We're just watching for the 5,000 fires that could pop up at any moment.
Oh gosh. So I have another question for you guys. Is so someone else that maybe is wanting to start a project, or I would say something like, passion project, things that are not necessarily a job or a business. What kind of advice would you give to someone that is wanting to like kind of step out and do something like you guys are really great at doing?
Oh, thank you. This is going to be super duper cliche, but just do it. Get really clear on what you're doing and why you're doing it and who you're doing it for, and then just do it and know that it's not written in concrete. You can change it whenever you want to. And you will never be ready. You're never going to know all the things that you need to know. I have 6 businesses now. And I promise you, this event that we put on in January, and I've been putting on events, like big events. And this was like a small attendance, like a very intimate event.
One. Yeah.
And both of us have put on events for hundreds and hundreds of people. And there were still things that went wrong. Like for the rest of your life, you're going to be learning things, which is one of the most beautiful gifts in the entire world. But if you can embrace that and just go into every single day in business and every single day in life. Like, what am I going to learn today? You're gonna be fine.
And I would just say, especially if you're going in with like, it's a passion project, like, I mean, write it down, like write down the why of why you're doing it, because it doesn't seem to matter if it's supposed to just be like a side thing or a passion project. People put so many expectations on themselves. It's supposed to be fun. Like, that's why you do a passion project, is for it to be passionate and it to be fun. And then I just see people, you know, their spark get extinguished so quickly because it doesn't go viral or it doesn't take off. And it's like, you're not doing it for that. Like, it's a passion. You're doing it to kind of feed your soul. So like, don't lose sight of that.
Yeah. And like, I guess, I mean, Ashley, how do you deal with people with the negative talk or the imposter syndrome or any of like that negativity? How do you deal with that? Because we all know that happens.
It does. And that's where usually, especially with imposter syndrome, it's really deep rooted within you. And so that's where having those, we talked about it at the event actually, but you can have things called like just nourishing self-care, right? Taking the bubble bath, going on the walk. But part of self-care really means putting things in place for when you have those moments. Yeah. Because when you're truly having that fear or that imposter moment, yeah, a bubble bath might calm you down, but you might need to have that person that's already prepped and ready for you to have kind of like the stuff going on speed dial. Or you might need to have set prompts in your journal or your planner to kind of revert back to dig into the whys more. And I call those, I mean, those are more of like the foundational self-care things. We all suffer from things like imposter. We all have wounded child. We all have the inner child stuff. And so I think just as much as having those like nourishing things, know where you go. I go very much into imposter syndrome. I don't care that I spent 12 years in the finance industry. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't budget. And it's more important for me at that moment to stick to my journal and go, why am I feeling this way? What's actually happening when I feel this way? What are my credentials? And I have all of it just pre-ready to go in my journal. That way it's like, I don't have to, you're in panic mode when that happens. And you don't think. Know that about yourself and put that support in place for yourself before it happens.
Yeah, Cassie, I mean, you probably are very similar since you guys are very like-minded humans, but you know, how do you deal also with like the negative talk outside of it? We all know there's haters, you know, we all know that there's people like, they do. I mean, I know I have them. They're just like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Or, oh, she's in a magazine. She thinks she's really cool. Like, how do you deal with that? Because it wears on you, whether you want to, we're powerful, we're badass women. We don't care what you fuckers say, but we do.
I do care, actually.
We care. We all care.
Yeah. A couple points there is like, number one, the imposter syndrome and the fear doesn't go away. Like, it's never going to go away. The difference is that you'll just recognize it a lot faster and you'll be able to recover a lot faster from it. My saving grace is like, I'll call Ashley and I'll just be like, I need to, like, I'm freaking out. I need to talk to you about these things. And he'll be like, I don't think that I should teach this vision board workshop because I haven't accomplished everything on my vision board from last year. And I was just like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Are you serious?
Or people aren't registering or or there was one negative comment about why is Cassidy, you know, whatever it may be, where that's the external. And it's like, have somebody that you can call. Cause I'm the same thing. I'll call her and be like, tell me how badass I am. Can you remind me?
Yeah.
Can you say pretty things about me?
Tell me why this person's wrong. The other thing is that one of my coaches, I don't know, a couple years ago now, told me the purple elephant story. And this is so dumb. And it is so powerful. It has literally changed my life. And paid for all of my coaching with them. But he's like, okay, so someone on the internet says, Cassidy, you're like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're too young. You're too inexperienced, whatever. Like, you shouldn't be teaching people and you shouldn't be charging this much. And he said, you need to like the only reason that you are feeling any part of sadness about that or any like guilt or fear or shame or anything, he said, is because at some level, even if it's the teeniest, tiniest amount, you believe some or all of that to be true. He said, if somebody got on the internet and said, Cassidy, you're a purple elephant, you would laugh at them. I was like, well, yeah, obviously that's dumb. I'm not a purple elephant. And he was like, right. Well, you're not too young. You're not too inexperienced. You're not charging too much. Like, people are paying you. So you might be marketing to the wrong demographic, but people are paying you happily and getting results. Like, you're not doing it wrong. And it was, so now it's like every time somebody says to me, like, do you think that you can make it? Or like, you're too young. I get you're too young a lot. You're too young, or you shouldn't wear purple. I don't know, like, just dumb. It's always dumb stuff. Like, it's never anything worth reading.
Well, and it's also, I mean, it all comes back to their own insecurities and jealousy and going, they just know it and they won't step out, which, you guys are like, we want to do this and we're going to see if it works. We love this and we're passionate about it. If it doesn't work, it's great. If it does, then we are going to love it even more. Like, you guys go in with a really good mentality of the things that you're doing.
I'm also just not afraid of failure anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like to fail. Like, it's not fun for me to fail. I don't like, it definitely brings on shame and doubt and fears and all these things. And I spiral a little bit, but I have like my system for what happens when that, like, what I do when that happens, but it's not scary. Like, if we would have put on this event and absolutely 0 people registered, we'd have been like, okay, let's evaluate why that happened.
Right.
Like, let's reassess. Do we want to push this at a later date? Do we want to, whatever, right? Like, it's just, failure is a tool. And I feel like a lot of people, especially with social media, right? Like, you just get on there and people are like, I have 100,000 followers in 7 days. I'm like, well, okay, congratulations. But if only, you can buy them. If one person sees your post, that's like you talking directly to one person in a room. That's powerful. If it's 25 people, powerful. If it's 2,500 people, holy shit. But you're probably not going to get there overnight. Like, the vast majority of people don't. Social media just makes it look like people do because it's cool to have $10,000 months or $100,000 months or whatever. Like, just.
And also, it never stops. Something that I'll do a lot is when that moment happens, I'll go to like somebody huge. We're talking Brene Brown. We're talking more like, you've made it.
Level. Yeah.
And they still get the hate comments and they still get told that they're full of shit and they don't know what they're talking about. And I'm like, you know what? She laughs as she walks to the bank.
Because they have a bigger platform, so they get it tenfold.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and she laughs the entire way to the bank, I'm sure.
Yeah, she's like, cool, see ya.
Ooh.
All right, so my last question, it has to do with mental health. And I think we're in this place that, post-COVID, and now I think mental health is finally starting. People are starting to finally see this. But then on top of that, we're getting mass shootings and we have people struggling and we got top suicide. I mean, it's really hard. So Cassidy, give us a piece of advice to send to someone that maybe is listening today that wants to, that's struggling. What is a piece of advice you give them?
I always recommend finding your people that you can be vulnerable with. And it doesn't have to be 6 people. It can be 1 person or 2 people. But having just like 1 or 2 people that you can be deeply vulnerable with, and you can just like lay it all out there. And at the end of the day, they will still love you and they're there to support you and remind you of your worth and your value to society and your value to your family and yourself and to them, and all the things those are my 911 people. That's everything.
And Ashley?
I would just reiterate that strong people go to therapy. I will never not have a therapist. And I have professional coaches and I have all other things. I will never not have a therapist in my back pocket ever. Like, they will always be there. I will always have them, whether I see them monthly, every 2 months. Strong people go to therapy. There's just still this weird stigma that like weak people go, no, absolutely not.
Love my therapist. Love her.
Yeah.
And like you said, I only go to her once a month, but it's a check-in, and sometimes it's an unload me crying, and sometimes it's just excitement and talking about all the successes and all the good things happening. And there's nothing, it's so, you're right. It's so wonderful.
Yeah. And it's becoming so much more accessible. There are online resources. There's like, it's called like BetterHelp. I mean, there's so many different ways now, depending on people's comfort level. You can get it through the phone, through the internet. It's just, everyone should have one.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're about to wrap it up. This is time where I just give you a little, like, promote yourself. Like, is there anything we need to know? How we can connect with you, how we can see what you guys are doing, follow you on social media. Tell us, how do we connect with you guys?
Definitely follow us on social media, because
Primarily Instagram.
So good. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
Instagram. It's at We Are Sincere, SNCERE. There is no I on purpose because we are removing the sin from deeply knowing and loving yourself.
Boom.
Clever.
Preach, sister.
Instagram.
Also at Cassidy Bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
At ashyates.co.
perfect. Ladies, I just absolutely adore you both. So thank you so very much for talking to me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for listening to Keeping Tabs. I'm Tabitha Crock, and every Monday I release a podcast about different community members here in North Idaho. And then we end the weeks on Fridays with a podcast about the things I'm passionate about: outdoors, adventures, sports, the van life, and even current events. So if you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. Thank you again. Now go be kind and do something great.